Research is proving beyond reasonable doubt that peace, happiness, and productivity are positively correlated. And what that simply means is that to a larger extent, your productivity is determined by how happy you are, or probably the peace that you're enjoying at your current workplace or even in your relationships. And so in today's video, we are going to share the 7 things that you can actually do to protect your energy and your peace altogether, and to ensure that your productivity is actually on the rise subsequently. And so if you're new here, my name is Nana. I hold a master's degree in business finance, and on this channel, we discuss everything personal finance and personal development. And so without further ado, we just move to the first point, and that is to set boundaries. And I've met several people, and anytime that we talk about boundaries, what they're thinking is, but you're building walls, or you're trying not to get people to get access to you in any way, shape, or form. But the truth is that would actually ensure that you have some level of protection when it comes to your peace and your well-being altogether, because those convos can actually have a very huge toll on you. Napoleon Hill goes on to highlight one thing, and he says that the brain is made up of 2 parts, that is the conscious part and the subconscious part. But all these parts of the brain are actually influenced by one thing, and that is the power of suggestion or auto-suggestion. And suggestion simply means what people tell you, and auto-suggestion is what you tell yourself. So to a larger extent, what you hear, the convos that you get engaged in, or people that have access to you, but the things that they tell you to a larger extent can have a massive impact on your ability to become successful or not. And that is why you need to set boundaries first of all, to protect your inner peace and, more importantly, your happiness. This brings us to the second point, and that is to limit negative input. So for several people out there, they only focus on one thing, or they are fixated on negativity and nothing but that. And so what you need to know is that if you truly want to become successful, you need to try as much as possible and then resort to some level of positive thinking. And that is what would actually drive you towards the attainment of your goals. So for instance, people focus on just the bad news, or they're actually quick to actually focus on things that are negative. And that really has a very negative impact when it comes to your overall ability to actually convince yourself naturally to steer yourself towards the attainment of your goals. And so if you truly want to have some level of happiness and subsequently to be productive in life, you need to try as much as possible and then filter some level of input. Anything negative that wouldn't have any impact on your life, don't listen to it or don't see them all together. And that would ensure that you move yourself several steps closer towards the attainment of your goals. This brings us to the third point, and that is to choose your circle wisely, because energy is extremely contagious. So the people that you surround yourself with can have very massive input in your life. So what you can do simply is to choose people that challenge you to be better than the version that you were before. So try as much as possible to surround yourself with like-minded people that can subsequently help you to drive yourself towards the attainment of your goals. If you're to surround yourself with people who are always talking down on you and actually sowing seeds of discord in your mind, then definitely you're not going to be productive. You're not going to see some level of energy or happiness altogether in your life. This brings us to the fourth strategy, and that is to practice mindfulness. So find ways and means of just isolating yourself and then focusing on meditating or doing something that actually delivers some level of peace on your level. And this is extremely personal. There are some people who find some level of peace in yoga. Some do find some level of peace in, exercising and all of that. So try and then sit down and then ascertain which of these activities actually deliver some level of peace and actually flows your energy to be productive, and then focus on that, dial down on that, and then ensure that subsequently you find that happiness and the productivity that you're actually in search of. This brings us to the fifth strategy, and that is to prioritize your time, but more importantly, do more of what makes you happy. So the first company that I actually had the opportunity of working with right after uni had that slogan, do more of what makes you happy. And I didn't really understand until later on when I actually came to the realization that positive feelings or happiness is generally actually positively correlated to productivity. So find ways and means of actually dialing down on your hobbies, or any people that anytime that you surround yourself with, you find some levels of extreme happiness or some level of productivity altogether, and that will ensure that you actually become successful later on in life. This brings us to the sixth strategy, and that is to disconnect in order to recharge. So one of the key things that you can do is to actually associate with nature. For several years, I didn't understand why so many rich people would take time, go to the woods and camp and all of that. And research is proving that, in a study, two sets of people were actually studied in a hospital. Some with paintings of nature and some without paintings of nature. And the research came to a conclusion that, people that had paintings or, canvas of nature in their rooms in the hospitals were more likely to recover earlier than people that didn't. And so one of the peaceful ways that you can actually ensure your productivity is protected, your energy altogether, is to actually associate with nature. So put down the phone, maybe stop doom scrolling, and then maybe it's time for you to actually explore nature. Go to lakes with ducks and all of that. That is sometimes things that I actually do with my wife. We go to the lake, just study, or actually go through nature and then appreciate whatever is in there. And sometimes it takes your mind off several other stressful stuff, and that can also ensure that you really have some level of happiness and overall productivity altogether. This brings us to the seventh and the most important strategy, and that is to guard your self-talk. So the power of auto-suggestion is one thing that you can actually do to ensure that you're always happy, and then more importantly, you're productive in life altogether. So try as much as possible to replace that harsh voice in your head with a very compassionate voice. So for instance, if you really go through several episodes of stress or hardship in life, try as much as possible to compassionate. Have some level of mercy on yourself and then appreciate the small gains or the marginal contributions that you've made over the years. And that is one of the surest ways for you to actually protect your inner peace, to be productive, and more importantly, to be happy generally in life. And so if you found value in this video, kindly smash the like button. It really helps with the algorithm, and then consider subscribing. Once again, thank you for spending time with us, and see you in the next video.